Cold Kata. Chess game. Last time I want to do this. Last time I ended up recording for like an hour, 45 minutes. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna try to squeeze this to maybe half an hour. And turn it down a little bit more. So doing the chess game, it's really a game board, right? This game board has a specification, hence what I highlighted right here in my Solution Explorer. It has a interpreter, hence what I'm highlighting right here in Solution Explorer. And some right now some unit tests. All right, so gameboard.specification, chess.interpreter. Those are the two primary libraries or projects within my solution. A test that I wrote is moving light pawn results in updated game state. And that test passes. So I did this, I started this Cold Kata, I think on Saturday. Sunday, I was still thinking about this, but I don't think I recorded anything. But then when I was at the beach this morning, I had a light bulb go off because one of the areas that I was kind of stuck at was how to represent captured material. Okay, so what does that mean? With our specification.language or domain.language, we have this thing called material, and from Saturday's recording, a material was composed of light and dark, and it was really a sequence of functions in which a function was a movement that resulted in a piece. What I'm thinking now is that material probably has a unique identifier that maps to the current state of the board layout, and then it would have the movement. And in theory, you could execute the movement to realize the piece or the material that was captured, or you could just add the piece as a separate property in addition to the movement that resulted in it. I think it's the latter part, but definitely material doesn't really capture the state of the board. It only captures the movement. So what I would like to do is I would like to have the following. It looks like we could get rid of this dead code right here. What I'd like to do is the following. This movement should probably have it would probably be helpful. I don't think there's any negative aspects to movement having an ID, right? Um, and this ID would be this event number. I don't know. event count probably sounds better. An event count is first move was light, second move was dark, third move was light, fourth move was dark, fifth move was light, etc. An event count would basically count each move regardless of if it was light or dark. And so, I mean, yeah, I guess we could make it a int, right? And so if you follow me, a movement has an event count, and in theory, a capture will encompass. Where's my capture at? Where did the capture go? Hold up. Oh, not capture, material. So in theory, a material is now going to encompass the event count, in which an event count can be a parameter for when you want to get the layout of the board that capture took place in. So, for example, if I wanted to capture, if I wanted to see what the last capture was that ended the game, in theory, I could say, in theory, I could rely on this material, and I could say, give me the event count of the total number of events, right? Taking into consideration the total number of events, give me that last event number or last event ID. And then take the movement, and I want to see what the state of the board was and what the state of the board resulted in after that movement that resulted in that captured material. Like that's the thought process. And so we revisit the question of, should a movement have game state? And in the last video, I said, nah, it's separate. But in this material, we probably do want to have game state. And what did I call it? What is it called? We called it. Shoot, I'm getting confused now. Game state's down here. Okay, so I thought I'd define this as rec. All right, so how do I say game state before game state's even declared? I thought that this rec keyword would address that, but it's not. So now I have to marinate on how to solve that. Actually, it's not even game state. Give me a second. I think it's layout. Yeah, it is layout. So you have layout of the board. You have layout of the board. So now and then the question is, does it really need to be a function? Or does it really need to be modeled? Does material need to be a function or expose properties that are functions or a list of functions? Or should it really just be properties? So, for example, right now, your light and your dark, they're a sequence of operations that will help you identify what the material that was captured. And what I'm asking is, should it be modeled a different way, where it's not a sequence of operations, but rather it's just a sequence of three properties: layout, movement, and the piece that was captured. So instead of having these arrows that relate to operations, what I'm saying is, I mean, this could be a tuple, but that'll be, it would work. But I mean, I think if you have more than three items to make up a tuple, it should probably be its own dedicated structure. So this is kind of where I'm stuck at, is how should I represent material? A list of operations that resulted in the material being captured, or a list of structures that captured the state of how that material was captured? If I do the latter part, a list of states that resulted in how that material is captured, that's going to result in me having to likely define a new structure, a new language term within my language specification, which may be okay. But then what would I call it? Mm, uh, I mean, if we were to consider it, let's see, this is going to be kind of, we could call it, I don't like this, state of capture for right now, because I can't think of something that is easier, less verbose. But the state of capture would basically have the same thing, right? It would have your layout, it would have your movement, um, it would have your piece, and if we're just experimenting, it would look like this. It would look like this. Um, your material would consist of light and dark, and both light and dark would be essentially a state of capture list or sequence, in which your state of capture would describe what the layout was, what the movement was, and what that resulting piece that was captured was. Okay. Apparently, I spelled capture wrong. Um, I need to find an easier name. State of capture. You could call it capture state. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, I kind of like it. So your game state has a sequence of moves in which we define moves as a sequence of functions in which that each function within that sequence of functions is game state, movement, game state, right? Game state, first parameter, movement, second parameter, which results in the output of the updated game state, right? Game state has, again, state, which is a sequence of moves, and game state has the material. Material is essentially how you keep score between light and dark, in which both light and dark will expose what the layout was, or it's a sequence of captures. Okay, I like that. In which each capture state, or it's a sequence of capture states, in which each capture state consists of a layout, of movement, and the resulting piece. We should call that piece, we should rename that to material, right? Material is the piece. Okay, I like it. So I guess it did work out. We go to our unit test. We now have a failing test because, what does it say? No assignment given for field event count. Okay. Um. So then the question is, do we need an event count? Because in theory, everything is synchronous, right? Or not synchronous. Everything is sequential. Move one, move two, move three, move four, move five. And if we were to make this into an enterprise application, in theory, you could have a unique identifier for the game, which could be a GUID or a string. And then to identify a specific game's specific movement that was a stellar movement that the whole world should study because it was so historical, well, you just take the combination of the game ID and then the the index of the sequence of movements to that particular movement, and that would work. I don't think we need an event count. We're deprecating this or getting rid of it, right? And everything should still compile. I shouldn't have any red squigglies on my test. Moving light pawn results in updated game state. Uh, so if we were to run this test, in theory, it should still pass, right? Control RT. And my friend, it still passes. Uh, so something tells me that we should try to quickly squeeze in a test for what it means to capture something. But I'm going to be honest with you, that's going to be a little bit more involved because even though we have defined the board or defined what a board layout is, in which a layout consists of a file and a rank, in which a file is vertical, right? It's 1 through 8. A rank is horizontal. It's A through H. We haven't really defined the chess or the game of chess, which would be in this right here that I'm highlighting, this chess interpreter. This chess.interpreter is dependent on this gameboard.specification, in which this interpreter will interpret the game of chess that's dependent on a board layout that is abstract enough to be used or applied to checkers or chess or whatever any other board game is. That's the theory, right? So the question is, even if it wasn't chess, if it was checkers, surely there's still a concept of capture, and surely checkers and chess at a high level they still share common principles of what a capture is. Could there be a test written for that? We could go through the motions, but I'm pretty confident that it's going to take more time to actually get a passing test. We'll go through the motions though. So we'll create another test And I do have to go, so we'll create another test. Come here. Uh, we'll call this test. What do we want to call the test? Something about capturing, right? It's capture capture material. I don't know, something like that. For right now, we already have our empty material. We have start game. We have a pawn. All right, so we do have a pawn. Okay, so okay, let's rename this pawn to light pawn. All right, so you have a light pawn. What else, Willis? Probably needed to find a dark pawn. Dark pawn. Call this black. Okay, now what? Our our light pawn is doing the move from location to location. Hence this right here. Um, we need to give the dark pawn a location or a held position, should I say? So we could say let dark position equals, and then we'll say it's a held position, right? Come here. Oh. Let's say it's a held position. This is a dark pawn, and in order for a pawn to capture, we know that the rank needs to be either C or E, because it's A, B, C, and then D, E, right? F, G. So C is this way, or northwest, or southwest. D or E would be, I'm confusing myself. Give me a sec. Yeah. E would be northeast, southeast. So we would just pick one. Right is more intuitive than left. So we would select E for the. Am I doing this right? Give me a second. Rank is horizontal. Yeah, yeah. I think this is right. The file would be 6. That's dark position. Okay. Now what? Well, R2 would now need to, our light position that's having the movement would need to move to E, right? So we basically take this right here. The rank and file, we replace that, this right here. In theory, that should work. And so then we could say movement is light movement. Um, Something like that. And then the game is going to be the start of the game, lights movement. We interpret the move that gives us the latest game. Um, and then the question is for a move, and we asked this question earlier, which is a game state. Yes, we did include material as part of that game state. And in theory, you could just reference the last the last capture state within the list of capture states of light or dark to figure out what that material was. Okay, I get it. Mm, so if we go back to our test, what I'm saying is the following. In theory, we could say that our game dot material dot light, which is a sequence. In theory, you should be able to say like sequence dot. I'm going to do a little bit of kung fu. You could say, is there a reverse for sequence? Yeah, there's a reverse in sequence, and then you could say sequence dot head. Basically, we're getting the last item within the materials for light. Hence, the last item is the the last recently captured material, and then you could basically, what do I want to say? Because it's empty, the game state. Where's my game state? The start game is empty. Hence, the state is empty. The material is empty. Then what we really want to say is we don't even have to do this. I mean, we could say that it has exactly one material. Actually, maybe that's even better. Um, we could say light and we could pipe that into sequence dot length equals 1. Why does that work? I thought light was a sequence. Assert dot is true. That works. Okay. We're no longer ignoring this test for capture material. This right here. I expect this to fail because I don't think I put in any logic for actually performing a capture within this chess interpreter library. So it should fail. And we get expected true but was false. Okay. Our chess interpreter has a move. The material, we'll rerun this test again. Yeah, because material is empty. We never really did any. Like, all this is really just empty logic, right? Within our chess interpreter. You do a move operation saying, that's interesting. Give me a second. Game state, it's a list of moves. Okay. Yeah, this is where my mind is going to start getting cloudy, which means that I'm likely just going to terminate this string because this is going to make me think too hard. And I have my day job to do. If I were to explore this, your move operation, let's just try to ignore this line right here. And there's going to be some logic. There's going to be some type of logic saying like, is destination location, does destination location have or is destination location allocated, right? Um, we're just going to do some pseudocode. If it is, then you got to say is destination location legal given uh, given piece performing move, right? And then is there a third one? You say perform move, and then you could say realize captured material, right? So this is the pseudocode for what needs to transpire in order for our test that we have over here to pass. Uh-oh. And oh yeah, there's 5. Step 5 would be realize, or it could be update game state. And same thing here. You could just say update captured material instead of realize captured material. These would be the 5 steps for a move operation that results in a capture, which I don't have time to implement right now. It'll be fun, or maybe not fun, but interesting. And I'm curious what refactorings are going to result when I do implement this. Hence, what refactorings in my specification operations or my language. Because yeah. Okay. My friend, that is it. Stop this broadcast. And I got 7 viewers. And I am about to start my 9 to 5. So I'm Scott Nimrod, Microsoft certified Azure solutions developer. The language is F sharp. That's my preferred language, even though I get paid to write C sharp. And this is a cold Kata, man. I find it interesting as I try to improve in my chess game on my phone, hence chess.com. And the book author, Scott Blashin, what is it called? What is this book called? Something domain made functional, something like that. Um, he encouraged his followers to strive to learn something new that's unrelated to coding. So I chose chess. All right, we're out. See you. Bye.